Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self-improvement. I am so delighted you're here with us today because we have a very special guest. Today we have with us Dr. Tara Perry. She is a core trauma transformation coach. She is here today to talk to us about how to get rid of the old programming that remains within all of us that we have picked up on throughout our lives. It's keeping us stuck. And I can't wait to hear all about her techniques because I know that there are many of us out there who really can benefit from this. So I want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Melissa. It's a pleasure.
So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start helping people heal trauma?
So, for 23 years, I was in Southern California. I taught at UCLA and Emperor's College, acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And I love that healing modality. It's wonderful for clearing stuck energy. It's great for restoring normal movement after paralysis. It's great for women that want to get pregnant because, again, there's stagnation there that just needs to be moved. I was actually quoted once in one of the leading fertility books as helping some of their most difficult patients get pregnant. And one day, I had a gal that had a very traumatic past, raving about this process that she was doing. And when I found out it was based in hypnosis, I said, okay, well, I want to have a session with your person. And, I traded a session with that person and I realized, okay, this is different, because I had already seen the two top hypnotists in Los Angeles. They had wonderful information. They were helping people, but it was still working with the conscious mind. And this was very good at bypassing the conscious mind and going right into the subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is only processing about 40 bits of information per second, where your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. So by tapping into that and learning how to communicate with it and what it needs, what it wants, and serving those needs so that the person can leverage themselves into a better way of being more quickly, the results were astonishing to me. I had many people that had gotten 100 on their PTSD scores in the military, and in 2 sessions they're going, it can't be this easy. And I'm like, well, yeah, it actually can be. I had a woman that was attacked by a Rottweiler and had been through 6 jaw surgeries, was living in pain and fear of losing more teeth. And she had developed a choking disorder. Every time she went to eat, she was at risk of going to the ER. And she had 3 young children at the time, which was a huge drain on the family. And in the first session, she knew this was different and this was helping her. And after the 3 sessions, she didn't have those issues anymore. So people would have these kind of crazy issues that, were aggravated by stress and trauma. And once you go back and remove the filters that are telling the brain, oh, you're in danger, push yourself into fight or flight, and instead get the message, okay, it's safe. We can dial that panic back and have the immune system functioning, the digestive system functioning, the hormonal system functioning. People just got healthier quicker, and it was that's what I've been doing 100% of the time now.
So would you say that people who have these subconscious traumas or programming that's going on, they're getting triggered all the time and not really knowing what it's triggering? Is that part of what you're seeing?
That's a good way to say it. I always start with the emotions, like what are you feeling all the time that you don't want to be feeling anymore? And then where is that hanging out in your body? What triggers it? When is it gone? What color is it? What do you know about it? And how long has it been there? And often I hear it's been there my whole life. Sometimes it's an event a little bit later, but often between the ages of 2 and 10 is where this stuff gets cemented in there. And the good news is it's just programming. And once your subconscious mind can see, I'm not an iPhone 4, I'm actually an iPhone 16, then it'll be willing to install the new programming so that you can move from where you are to where you want to go.
And do you typically work with people who maybe have really severe trauma and maybe, I know a lot of people, they avoid doing the healing work because they don't want to be re-traumatized by having to go back in and experience the trauma again. Is this one way to kind of work around that?
That is such a great question. And it's kind of a two-part question. So the answer to the second part is no. What's great about this is unlike traditional therapy where you go and talk about your problems all the time, that to me would be re-traumatizing. And I have so many people that, had chronic debilitating daily panic attacks and had done 20 years of therapy or 30 years of therapy or more than that and seminars. And um, it's like you're in a movie theater, and what I need the person to do is just basically see the picture. You don't have to relive it, but you're just reviewing it. You can review it in safety. It doesn't have to be a big, horrible experience. It's not that type of thing, but just so the brain can go, okay, yeah, that event, and then learn from that event what it needs to learn. Again, the subconscious doesn't think the way the linear conscious mind thinks. So it doesn't matter so much what happens to us. It's our interpretation of ourself, the world, and other people. That's the thing that gets us. So when we go back, and this is the other interesting thing, and I love this about this process is I don't have to figure it out. They don't have to figure it out. When you go into that beautiful, big subconscious mind, it will take you where it needs to go. So again, it's like sitting in a movie theater. You might see things. You might have different sensations in your body. There are no wrong answers. Sometimes people go back as far as being in the womb. I've had people go back to other lifetimes. And again, when sometimes it's stuff that they would anticipate and predict, and sometimes it's completely out of left field. The other question that you asked me is about is the level of severity of the trauma. Sometimes it's business people that just, can't get the results that they're looking for because they're running up against blocks and barriers. Like one gal who, so I have a podcast as well and a YouTube channel, and a lot of these recordings are on there. There was a gal that I met in an advanced Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation, and she said, "Look, I didn't have any problem asking money when I was an attorney, but now that I'm a gallerist in Switzerland, I just can't ask money for art. I don't know what the problem is." And so she signed up to work with me and found she went back to a previous lifetime and was able to see clearly, oh, this is why I can't ask for money. And then we just rewired it. And now she sells paintings for $30,000 and $40,000 and has a great time. Another gal that I worked with is a wonderful oral surgeon. And when she was doing her homework with her sister, her father said something unkind because her sister was even smarter than she is and is a leading surgeon in the country. So she interpreted that I'm not worthy. So she didn't feel comfortable asking for money. And that was the issue that she wanted to resolve. So I called her up 2 months later and I said, "Hey, how's it going with that issue?" And she says, "Oh my God, I go home with more energy. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mother." I said, "Dollar wise, what's it worth to be able to ask for what you're worth?" She says, "I make about an extra $10,000 a month."
Yeah, that's a nice little addition to your salary. Nice.
So basically, it doesn't matter the level of trauma so much. I really need somebody who's committed to change because the brain prefers a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. I know it's cliche, but it's so true because the brain is tribal in nature. It thinks that what's familiar is safe. It's going to keep diverting back to that familiar thing, even if that familiar thing is horrible, because it falsely thinks that that is safe. And so once it can see, oh, wow, that I'm holding onto a hot poker, that's dangerous, it's hurting me, it'll be willing to make a change. But you have to give it a very, very clear list of instructions and a pathway to that change. So it's kind of like learning a new language. It's like learning a new sport. Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. It's like going to the gym when your muscles aren't all that strong. But as long as you give the person really, really clear instructions, bite-sized daily things that they can do, I would say the vast majority of people get 50 to 100% of the result they're looking for.
Now, that's incredible, first of all. But you said that some people go back to other lifetimes. So have you seen that it's common for people to have these traumas that actually aren't from this lifetime and it's something that they've carried with them through different past lives?
I wouldn't say common. It does come up. I've had some really amazing people who had issues that were previous lifetime issues. And once we cleared those, I mean, it just allowed them to catapult to really wonderful new levels in their life.
So can you explain to us a little bit about what your method is that you do with people? So say someone calls you up and says, okay, I'm really stuck. I can't attract clients in my business. What's the process that you take them through? And I know you probably can't tell us every little thing, but um, give someone an idea of like what it would be like to work with you.
Sure. So the first thing I would say is, okay, well, remember a time when, I don't know, somebody was in front of you and you couldn't make a sale or you couldn't reach out to somebody. What's the stuck feeling that is so familiar when we run into these things over and over and over again, they become very, very familiar. And, where is that in your body? What triggers it? If it had a color, what would it be? If it had a temperature, what would it be? And often sometimes people can feel the blocks in their heart or their head. Sometimes it might feel like a dark fog. Sometimes it feels like pressure. It's different for different people. And then another question I would say is, well, how long has it been there? And often I get, it's been there my whole life. And if we wave a magic wand and that all disappears, what does your life look like in 90 days, a year from now? What are three feelings that you'd give anything to feel consistently? And usually answers to that are something like bliss, peace, feeling like I'm enough, because a lot of us high achievers, have imposter syndrome. I think I suffered from that for quite a long time. Because I would succeed at something that a year ago, I would have thought, okay, if I pull that off, I'll be happy for the rest of my life. And then, you pull it off and 5 minutes later, you're going, okay, what's next?
Yeah, I understand that too. It's like, oh, it's not enough. I have to be doing something else or achieve the next thing in order to feel like I think a lot of people suffer from that.
Yeah. And the good news is again, it's just programming. Somewhere in life, you didn't feel like you were enough. And I've had this done with myself as well. And sometimes it just, something really comes out of left field and you're like, oh my God, I had forgotten about that, a million years ago. I didn't know that programming was still hanging with me. Like I worked with my podcast manager. Again, this is all on my Next Level Healing podcast. But he had been working with me for a year and he listened to all my interviews and he was very familiar with my work. And as soon as he realized that he was carrying around unworthiness in his beingness, he called me up and he said, Tara, I want your next appointment. I want this out of me yesterday. And in the first session, he went home and had the best night's sleep he had had in his whole life. He was able to start shedding the weight that he didn't want to be carrying around. And as an added bonus, he made an extra $50,000 in the next 6 months. So he was super happy about that.
So, do you find, in your opinion, because you were talking about you work with somebody, let's say you are working with different people, does it affect everyone in the team if one person is bogged down by the subconscious programming and maybe they don't feel worthy enough? Do you think that rubs off, like that has an effect on
You said the team. What team are
themselves?
we talking about?
If you're working, let's say you have a partnership and they have a business and one of them doesn't feel worthy enough, maybe the other one does, but do you think that affects that other person too? Since I don't know if you know the answer to this, but
No. I absolutely feel like that answer resonates. I mean, think about it, in a family. If one member of the family is dragging down and feels bad, the whole family is going to sort of feel bad for that person. It's gonna bring the whole vibe down a bit. So same in a work environment, in any environment. I think I heard the term spiritual microbiome the other day, and I think definitely, it's also said that you're the median success of the five closest people that you hang around with. So I think it elevates everybody when anybody gets healed. And honestly, when I'm working with somebody, and I see them jump from something that was painful and a state of suffering to something that's joyful and blissful, I benefit from that. It's joyful for me. In fact, that's one of my biggest pleasures in life is seeing people dump. I feel like I get to let people out of prison for a living, and that is joyful for me.
what do you think are some of the most common topics that people go through that you're helping them heal?
Oh, anxiety would be by far probably the number one. PTSD would be in there. It's people that have struggled with an issue. They've done often the mainstream stuff. Often they are on medications they don't want to be, and they are just had a hard time coming off of them. You know, a lot of them you have to come off of safely, and of course, check with your doctor and make sure that you're taking the right path for that. Um, but a lot of people don't want to be on medications or don't like the side effects of their medications or feel worse on medications. Some people feel worse with standard therapy. So, um, people are happy to have an alternative that has uh, a good track record for rapid success that has positive side effects because when you dial that stress back, when you dial back that sympathetic response into a more of a parasympathetic state. Some people call it heart and brain coherence. HeartMath has measured that. They've got wonderful devices for measuring that. But when you're in a state of continual heart and brain coherence, then your immune system gets turned on, your digestive system gets turned on, your hormonal system gets turned on, and a myriad of things can heal. I worked with a fellow who, broke his spine in a motorcycle accident and had been through everything. He was all excited when I found out I was an acupuncturist, and we just went to his subconscious mind and upgraded what needed upgrading. And after 2 sessions, he didn't have the pain anymore. And I said, "Are you surprised that you healed this quickly?" And he says, "No, I know how powerful my subconscious mind is."
That's amazing. And so maybe clear up for anyone who is out there listening. Are you doing hypnosis with people when you're doing this therapy?
Yeah, it falls under the category of hypnosis, although I don't know anybody who does what I do. I've trained with some of the top people on the planet, so I've developed my own way of doing it. But the subconscious mind works in predictable ways, and when you understand those ways and find the way into leveraging it from where it is to where it wants to go, then you can get more reliable, predictable results.
And when the people are in the sessions with you, are they aware of what's going on and they're kind of a part of this whole process? And so when it's over, they remember, okay, we talked about this, we hit on this.
Yeah, that is another great question. I always say I can't make anybody think anything they don't want to think or believe anything they don't want to believe. I'm just a tour guide. So I do work with motivated people. I like to work with people that have an 8, 9, or a 10 need to change and an 8, 9, or a 10 commitment to change. Because anytime that you're doing something different, it just takes the commitment. So as to awareness, I mean, sometimes people come out of a session and they really aren't that aware of what has gone on, and some people are fully aware. It doesn't really matter. I mean, people have this notion that, oh, I need to go really deep. And that isn't true. If you're slowing the brain waves down and you're having that conversation with the subconscious mind, you can be fully aware through the whole thing. A lot of times people have some time dysmorphia, so they'll come out of the session and 2 hours will have gone by and they'll be like, "You're kidding me. I thought that was 20 minutes." So sometimes they think they know more than they do. That can be a little tricky. So when we do the session, there's a clear path and a clear direction that comes out. And so I make them a customized audio tape at the end to take them from where they are to where they want to go, from that iPhone 4 to the iPhone 16, which, is really authentically who they are. And so they listen to that each night as they drift off to sleep, and the mind is a sponge and it'll just accept it.
So what you make for them is almost like a guided meditation that they could do every night when they go to sleep.
Yeah, you talk them into a relaxed state, and then you say, "Hey, subconscious, remember what we talked about? Remember what you saw? Yeah, that's getting stronger and stronger." And it's very positive because you never ever tell the subconscious mind not to do something because it doesn't hear the not. It's gonna hear the wording, and it only speaks in present tense. It doesn't know future. It doesn't know past. So you got to get the rules of the mind down to be able to do this effectively.
And so you said you also have your own podcast
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about healing on the podcast. So tell us a little bit more about that. And
Yeah,
what
it's
we're doing on
called Next Level Healing. And the whole reason I started it, well, I used to do broadcasting out of Angel Stadium in Anaheim. So I originally it was called The Best from East to West because, again, I had a whole background in nutrition and holistic medicine, and I wanted to get the word out on how it was helping people. And then I found myself right before the Angels games on Sundays. So I changed it to the Men's Dugout, which was men's adventure, lifestyle, and fitness. And then when I started having the results I was having with people, I wanted to get the word out on that. So I started doing interviews with people who had gotten over all these issues, daily panic attacks and had been through 16 years of therapy. And after 3 sessions, they weren't having those problems anymore. Migraine headaches, TMJ. Insomnia is another big one. I have a gal that hadn't slept for 7 years, more than 3 to 4 hours a night. She had been through regular sleep therapy. It didn't help her. And at the end, she said, I don't know how you did this. You never mentioned the word sleep in the therapy. And I said, I didn't have to. I just had to remove the emotions that were preventing you from sleeping in the first place. So her interview is also on my podcast, and it's Next Level Healing. It's on all platforms. So it's a mix of people that I've worked personally with. The people that I've worked personally with are in my playlist on my YouTube channel, and the rest of them are like leading authors. And I just interviewed, for the Joe Dispenza fans out there, the lead scientist for Dr. Joe, Dr. Hemal Patel, because the results that they're showing from what happens with the brain, the blood, and the microbiome, and reduction in all kinds of health issues by being in this beautiful state of heart and brain coherence is really, really impressive. And I found that it works really well with what I do because that's a one-to-many process. So they're giving you general guidelines for how to get into that heart and brain coherence. But a lot of those people who practice that, they've gotten great results with it, but they have something specific that's in their psyche and their past that they would like to unlock and move on from.
So are you able to help? I know you talked before about how you were able to help women get pregnant who were having struggles with that. Are you also able then to help people who are suffering from other illnesses or, I know you talked about the one man having pain and you were able to help him remove that. But how are you able to help people who are experiencing illnesses where they're just really not feeling well and trying to find something that helps them to feel better?
Because of my background in, having a medical practice for 23 years, and the training that you receive to be able to do that, everybody's a different puzzle. So you have to look at the different aspects of that puzzle. I mean, of course, food and exercise, all that has a role. However, it goes back to that if you're in a sympathetic nervous system response, which so many people are, I'm stressed out, I feel anxious, I have PTSD symptoms. If stress is a component, which it is for headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, any kind of digestive issues, so often that's a component. Migraines, headaches, jaw grinding, stress can cause pretty much everything. High blood pressure, heart attacks. I mean, the list is really long. There's a guy named Hans Selye, Dr. Hans Selye, that wrote a book on how chronic stress degrades the cells in the body. So it's almost impossible to heal if that sympathetic nerve response is too high, which it is in most people. So by dialing that back and getting the nervous system into the parasympathetic state, which is an acknowledgement that, oh, I'm safe, things are okay right now. It's time for my digestive system to be on. It's time for my immune system to be on. It's time for my hormonal system to be on. Healing can happen. So I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell exactly with each person which health issues are going to respond and which might be more challenging. But so consistently, I've seen people that have struggled for so many years make huge strides. And typical ones are GI issues, because again, the gut is the second brain. And if it's stressed out all the time, it's really hard to have any kind of decent digestion. Pain, migraines, headaches, I even did it with my mother when she, at age 89, was walking down the street. She hit a bike rack on the street and it dropped her to her knees. She smashed her kneecap into 13 pieces. And as soon as she was out of surgery, I said, Mom, take a picture of yourself. I know you feel terrible, but that's the before picture. You're going to be the fastest healing case on record. I made her one audio to speed heal the kneecap, and I made her another audio to convince the muscles they were still working out even when they were immobilized, because as an older person, having a limb like that immobilized for the healing period can be a life-ending situation. So she was walking up and down stairs in 3 months and going up and down ladders at age 89 in 6 months.
That's incredible. Well, it just goes to show how powerful the mind actually is.
Yeah. So for people, I mean, I've had people that are recovering from spinal cord injuries and all kinds of stuff. And the one thing I can say pretty much for certain is that if you're stressed out, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling fear, regret, guilt, shame, blame, any of the things that are sapping your energy day in and day out, you're shunting that energy away from maximal healing. If you're in joy and bliss, your energy is going to be higher and you're going to have more resources available for healing. And sleep is another one. I've can't tell you how many people I've worked with who, a lot of people have the Aura rings and the equipment to measure that, and they'll tell me that they've tripled their REM sleep in the first month. A lot of times it's family members who will say, "Oh, this is the new you. We like this person better."
Well, that's incredible. If there is anyone who is out there listening and maybe they're feeling like they'd like to have a session with you, or they want to learn more about it, maybe they'd like to check out your podcast, what's the best way for them to do all of those things?
So Next Level Healing is the podcast. On my YouTube channel, there's a playlist of people that I've worked with. So Dr. Tara Perry or Dr. Tara Grace Perry on YouTube. It's one of those two. And then my website, of course, is consulttara.com. You can click the Let's Talk button. There's a bunch of questions there just to get clarity on what your issue is and what you want to shift and change. I do meet people on a Zoom call for 30 minutes to see if it's a good fit for them. I love giving people resources. So, whatever tool I think will be beneficial for them, I will send them that way. I have a whole reading list on my website of things that I have found very useful for personal development. So that would be my best start.
Okay. And we'll have those links in the show notes too, so you guys can all go there. Now, I like to end my show by pulling a card for people just to give them a little message for the upcoming week. So if you're okay with that,
Love it.
go ahead and pull a card for everyone. And today I'm using Angela Rose's deck. It's gifted to me. It's a beautiful deck. All right. So we're going to take. Well, you love this. The card that came out is I Am.
I love it.
And it's I am the dark, the light, the silence, the noise, the sky, the earth, the moon, the sun, the joy, the pain. You are all of it, which makes you whole. Write yourself a love letter. It doesn't have to be super long or mushy. It could even just be a bullet point list. What is most important is you seeing how much love you have for yourself. And the mantra is I am, and you are, and the challenge today is to fill that I am with every positive thing you can think of about yourself, because you are whole, you are talented, you are loved. So you fill out the rest.
Honestly, Melissa, that's my work in a nutshell. The old I am programming, when she removed that, people have subconscious beliefs that I am not enough, I am not worthy, I am not capable of getting the change that I want in my life, and it's all about changing that. So I love, love, love the card that you pulled.
You know what? The universe always aligns everything so perfectly, doesn't it?
It does.
So,
And you know what? The more you get into this work, the more crazy coincidences happen, which is another joyful thing.
I believe that. I believe that as well. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing your knowledge and what you're doing with the world. Thank you for doing that and for being here with us today.
So appreciate you, Melissa. Thank you.
And I want to thank all of you for being here with us today as well. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And the greatest compliment you can pay me is to share this podcast with those you think might benefit. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.